It's all going to zero against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever, Wally.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Yo, welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live. Oh my God, it's been I'm getting back from Canada. All right. Anyways, guys, you're tuning in to Simply Bitcoin, your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. Card breaking news, culture, matic warfare will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. Lots to cover today. Specifically, the German government continues to separate money from state. Literally, they're just dumping this massive amount of Bitcoin. People are speculating that that's the reason as to why the price is dumping the way it has. And also pretty crazy, the RNC, the Republican National Committee, has come out and has made it one of their key points that if you elect the Republican Party, they will protect Bitcoin. Also, shout out, of course, to David Bailey of Bitcoin Magazine, a CEO specifically of BTC Inc., because he's played a major role in that, just kind of influencing the Trump campaign and pointing them in the right direction. And I really like what they're doing because they're separating Bitcoin and crypto, which I think is a massive deal. It's a big deal, to say the least. So very, very bullish about that. But not so bullish on the German government. Seems like they're going to have fun staying poor. Also, in other news as well, more than half of the top 25 hedge funds in the United States are now exposed to Bitcoin. That is absolutely massive. These hedge funds have a tremendous amount of influence, and I think it's don't pay attention to what they say, pay attention to what they do. But notably, it seems like Ray Dalio's hedge fund, Bridgewater Associates, has still not bent the knee to the king. But it seems like a lot of other influential hedge funds have. So we're going to go through all of that today. It's going to be a loaded show, lots of news to go over. We're going to go into the specifics of how much Bitcoin is being dumped by the German government, who's buying that Bitcoin, hint, hint, BlackRock and a lot of these ETFs. And again, there's this beautiful thing about Bitcoin, right? And it's similar to like what happened during the China mining ban. Hash rate dropped 50%, the hash rate located overseas, and of course the price recovered. They could only ban Bitcoin one time, right? German government could only sell the amount of Bitcoin that they've accumulated, seizing and confiscating and all that stuff. They could only sell that Bitcoin one time. Once they run out of Bitcoin to sell, that's it. The party's over. People are buying those cheap Satoshis. I think the German government is going to regret that decision 5-10 years from now. But, that's what governments do. I think they're incredibly inefficient. And thank you. Shout out to the German government for separating money from state, literally. So we have lots of news to cover today. Of course, we're going to be doing a Bitcoin Well giveaway as well. So stay tuned till the end of the show, and we'll toss a coin into the Bitcoin wishing well. Anyways, no more delay. I want to bring up my other co-host. He fixed his internet. He's in full HD. Opti's in the house. How you doing, bro?
To be clear here, guys. I know I get a lot of bad mouth on the show. I forgot we're the first couple of minutes, but it wasn't my fault. Okay, I was on support with Restream all day, and I think I might have found a bug yesterday, but I'm back. I'm hardwired in, so hopefully no more technical issues on my end. But yeah, man, yesterday was a great show. I'm bummed that I wasn't a part of it, but absolutely great show yesterday. And today's gonna be a good show. I'm all in HD now. I have good internet in here, so we should be good. But anyways, enough of me. I think we had a perfect segue because I was telling our guest today, very special guest, and he came on. He's like, I wasn't aware you guys were live show. I thought maybe you're re-recording. I'm like, don't worry about it. Keep going. And instantly in the first 20 seconds, Nico can't speak. Actually opened up the show, couldn't speak. Hashtag Nico can't speak. And also hashtag Frank ran Wall Street. So guys, we're just winning so hard out here. It's incredible being a Bitcoiner. Anyways, enough further ado. Let's bring up our guest today. We got Sean Mcdonnell. I would say Bitcoiner, entrepreneur, But what we're talking about today is his company, Salt of Earth Electrolytes, guys. And you know me, I say it all the time. Get outside, touch some grass, get your body right, get your mind right. What's the point of having the best money in the world if you can't usher in that money? So today, guys, you might not be necessarily fully on topic, but this is turning into a lifestyle brand. So we're going to talk about why you need some electrolytes versus just water. And also, Sean has some really good, some Bitcoin lore here. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this. But Sean, how you doing this morning? And then, of course, do a little 1 minute TLDR of what Salt of Earth is, and then we'll get into the show.
Sure. So thanks for having me on, guys. Yeah, Salt of the Earth is a premium electrolyte stick pack beverage mix that you mix in your water, and it's kind of like a better version of Element. Started it last year while I was traveling around the world on this like surf sabbatical. I was in Bali getting super dehydrated from a lot of surfing and training and sauna. And yeah, I really have been embracing the Bitcoin community as well and accept Bitcoin as payment on my website. I have Bitcoin rewards with Oshi and like referral links and stuff like that. And so yeah, I could go into talking about how I got into Bitcoin and
we'll save that for the culture. We'll save it for the culture. He's a Bitcoiner with some delicious electrolytes for you guys.
Yeah.
Delicious.
We'll plug all that in the culture, but man, glad to have you here. And I'm really excited to cover some of the Bitcoin lore that we were talking about before the show. So hang out for the culture, guys. You're going to enjoy these stories.
Absolutely, guys. So if you're enjoying the show so far, it really helps with the algos if you smash that like button. So if you're watching us on YouTube, smash the like button. If you're watching us on Twitter, smash the like button. If you're watching us on Rumble, smash the like button. But buckle up because we have an incredible show lined up for you guys. But before we jump into it, I do want to give a very special shout out to our lead sponsor. And of course, I'm talking about Bitcoin Well. Bitcoin Well is the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. Buy real Bitcoin, enable your independence with the fastest and safest way to buy Bitcoin in Canada and the USA. To get started, all you got to do is you put in your email address. It's a clear 1% spread. It's obviously Bitcoin only, and it's completely non-custodial. That's what makes Bitcoin Well different. It empowers sovereign ownership with free automatic self-custody. So what does automatic self-custody mean? What does self-custody by default means? That means that you don't even have an opportunity to leave your Bitcoin on the platform. As soon as you buy it and the funds clear, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address, which perfectly aligns with the Simply Bitcoin ethos of the separation of money and state. Support self-custody by default Bitcoin on-ramps. Self-custody is the Bitcoin revolution. Head over to bitcoinwell.com/simplybtc to get started today. And of course, we're going to be doing a giveaway by our friends over at Bitcoin Well. We're going to be showing off the Bitcoin Well Wishing Well little contest that they have. Every time you buy Bitcoin, you have an opportunity to win up to 1 million Satoshi. So stay tuned to the end of the show for some free sats. Anyways, guys, let's hit the numbers. Lots to talk about. Let's check it out. Here we go.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stampseed. All right, everybody, at the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $57,600. Sats per dollar 1,735. Block height 851,435. Blocks to halving 198,565. Halving estimate March 31st, 2028. Total Lightning Network capacity 4,977 BTC. Capacity value 286 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation 1.53%. Market capitalization 1.14 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap 7.02%. In the grand scheme of things, we're just getting started. Anyways, historic news yesterday. Bitcoin is entering into the political sphere, but I just want to remind everybody, it's not that Bitcoin needs politicians or politics in general. It's that Bitcoin, this movement, has accumulated so much influence, so much power, to put it bluntly, that now politicians need Bitcoin to get elected. Remember, politicians don't pander to you just because they feel like it. They're doing it because they feel like it can get them votes. They feel like it can get them donations, right? And now our cause, because that's what this is, our movement has become influential enough for politicians to be like, you know what? That Bitcoin industry, there's a lot of wealthy Bitcoiners over there. They could potentially be donors, right? So that's exactly what's happening. And I believe that's a good thing, obviously, because if the Republicans get into power again, so far they only have control of the House at the moment. Democrats have control of the Senate and the presidency. This election, it seems like Trump, according to the betting odds, has a really good chance of winning. Now all of a sudden the men with guns protect you, right? And of course, I know that's very unpopular with a lot of Bitcoiners, but in the transition from the analog fiat political age into the information age, where we believe that Bitcoin eventually will make politics irrelevant, during the transitionary period, unfortunately, politicians still hold a tremendous amount of influence over society. That's the way it is. Do you want those to use Opti's words? Do you want those parasites to be on your side, or do you want them to be on the side of CBDCs? Because that's really the battle at hand. It's not left versus right. It's not liberal versus conservative. It's the party of orange versus the party of fiat. Anyways, all of that being said, let's tie that up with the nice bow on top. Let's move on to this. So the RNC passed a draft pledging to, quote, defend the right to mine Bitcoin and protect self-custody. So here are all the things that they promised that they would do if they are to get reelected into office. We're going to skip all the political stuff that's not related to Bitcoin, because it really doesn't, it's a Bitcoin show after all. But first, it's cut regulations, make the tax cuts permanent, fair and reciprocal trade deals, reliable and abundant low energy. And here is the part that as it relates to Bitcoin. And they mentioned Bitcoin by name, by the way. It's not only crypto. But it goes on to say Republicans will pave the way for future economic greatness by leading the world in emerging industries. It goes on to say crypto. Republicans will end Democrats' unlawful and un-American crypto crackdown and oppose the creation of a central bank digital currency. We will defend the right to mine Bitcoin and ensure every American has the right to self-custody of their digital assets and transact free from government surveillance and control. This is exactly what you want to happen, because all of a sudden, right, even if they don't get elected, right, like even if the other side wins and whatever, it doesn't seem like it, at least now they've moved the Overton window. They've highlighted the fact that, hey, if you are against this, this is what you're voting for. You're pro-government surveillance, you're pro-government control, you're pro-central bank digital currency, and you're you're anti-Bitcoin. So I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are quote unquote on the Democratic side that aren't are pro any of these things. So it's becoming very clear. And by the way, this was not meant to become a partisan issue. They made it a partisan issue as soon as they started arresting the Bitcoin, the Samurai the developers, as soon as they started arresting the Tornado Cash, Roger Ver. They went after Caitlin Long's Custodia Bank. They proposed a 30% income tax on Bitcoin miners. Like, they're hell bent on destroying the industry because they want to create a total monopoly for their central bank digital currency. Their central bank digital currency won't compete. It can't compete with Bitcoin. Right. So it needs coercion. Right. But what they're doing is that they're exposing the other party. I don't believe that by 2028, any politician or any political party is gonna be able to have a pro CBDC and an anti Bitcoin stance, because it's just going to be politically unviable. But I think they're trying to get away with it now. They're putting a lot of their bets on this election. We'll see what happens. But now you guys know, if you live in the US, this November, Bitcoin is on the ballot. And it seems like the Republican Party and Trump are obviously taking a very pro-Bitcoin stance, anti-CBDC stance, pro-self-custody stance, and the Democratic Party is taking the exact opposite stance. I hate that it's become partisan, but that's the reality of the situation, and we're just here to report the news. Here's David Bailey, CEO of BTC Inc., which is the Bitcoin magazine and the Bitcoin conference, and he played a big role in orange pilling Trump and advising the Trump team on Bitcoin. So here is an interview on the Legacy Media. Let's hear what he has to say. It's about 4 minutes. I don't know if we'll play the entire thing, but let's check it out.
Well, first off, Josh, thank you for having me on the show. And I have to say, investors are still very excited about the Bitcoin ETF. Thank God we have the Bitcoin ETFs, because it's been a brutal week of selling from the German government and from Mt. Gox's bankruptcy claims finally paying out after 10 years. And so those ETFs are actually absorbing a lot of the liquidity blow that's happening right now. So we're about 2/3 of the way through the German government just dumping their Bitcoin, and we're eager to see it concluded. But I think that will wrap up probably next week.
What would you, David, you look at the potential kind of near to intermediate term catalysts, what would you be looking for? Is it, a dovish Fed, a rate cut or two? Would that help?
I think there's probably two major catalysts that are driving the Bitcoin in action right now. First off, we just had a Bitcoin halving that occurred in April. Historically, every Bitcoin halving has caused a supply shock with Bitcoin. And so these are kind of the precursors to what makes the price of Bitcoin dramatically rise over, the next 2 years. And so a lot of people in our industry are very eagerly watching that play out. It takes time for the supply shock to really bake into the market dynamics. And then the second kind of new catalyst, I'd say, is the political environment for Bitcoin. Just today, details were released about the RNC's official platform as it relates to Bitcoin and crypto. And for the first time ever, Bitcoin is one of the key components of a major political party's platform. So I think that there's a lot of positive developments to come on the political and geopolitical side that are really kind of brand new catalysts for our industry.
Just let's stick with politics, David, because my understanding is you actually met former President Trump. I'm just curious how that came about, David. What did you guys talk about?
Yeah, we talked Bitcoin mining. We talked how Bitcoin is aligned with the president's agenda for energy independence, for energy abundance, for America First, to really dominate what's a strategic asset of the United States. So the president is very aligned with the Bitcoin industry and sees the opportunity that Bitcoin offers the United States, and also the risk, a lack of action would bring about as well. So it was a very fruitful conversation. It's also where, the president in his classic style coined the term, we want Bitcoin made in America. So it was very successful.
It's interesting, David, because you had, as you're pointing out rightfully, you're seeing this, crypto has become an issue in this election, and it's interesting to see Trump positioning himself as an ally of the crypto community. Do you think that works, David? Do you think he'll win over the crypto community?
Yeah, absolutely. It's already happening. There are 70 million people that own Bitcoin or crypto in the United States. And there's an old political adage that people vote their pocketbook. Now, digital assets, Bitcoin, is people's pocketbook. And so when they're making an analysis of who they're going to vote for, there's a lot of single issue voters that their number one priority is what's going to be good for the value of my portfolio. And so when you look at the two candidates right now, Trump has done a really amazing job at making himself stand out as really the only candidate to pick. So, we are trying to raise $100 million for the president's reelection effort, and we're trying to turn out 5 million votes, swing votes, in this upcoming election. And so I think, Bitcoin is really having its political moment.
David, I'm also curious, I want to get you out on this. When you talk to your friends and family, and maybe they don't own Bitcoin and they're thinking about it, what do you tell them? What's the reason you say buy Bitcoin? Do you say, David, store of value? Do you say medium exchange? What's the story you tell them?
It's a little bit of all of it. I think, you kind of cater the message of Bitcoin to who the buyer is. There's different things that intrigue people about the technology. Personally, I think what's most exciting is like we live in a world that's very fractured. Our monetary system is very fractured globally. Bitcoin represents a fresh start, the ability to rebuild and re-architect our monetary system for the world on a clean infrastructure. And so when I look at Bitcoin, I make the case of Bitcoin as kind of the primary asset of a future monetary system. And fundamentally, it's the number go up story. It's like, what is one Bitcoin theoretically worth if Bitcoin fulfills its potential as the new monetary system?
So I mean, there's you heard it from the horse's mouth himself, right? And of course, here is Katie Bieber, and he says history has been made. Crypto is the official GOP platform. Republicans will end Democrats' unlawful and un-American crypto crackdown and oppose the creation of a central bank digital currency. So I mean, like, yeah, Bitcoin has entered the political discussion. That's clear as day. Everyone could see it. Shout out to the Bitcoin Magazine team, like I was saying. And yeah, I mean, it is kind of weird, though. It is weird. It is strange that, one party is anti-Bitcoin, one party is pro-Bitcoin. I never thought it was going to happen so quickly. I thought this was eventually going to happen, but I thought it was going to happen more like in 2028. Definitely not so soon, which is pretty crazy. But Bitcoin tends to surprise everyone like that. Anyway, Sean, I want to get your take on this. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Bitcoin has entered into the political sphere.
Yeah, I thought that when Mayor Suarez was trying to make a run at the presidency, that his enthusiasm for Bitcoin was going to maybe help him out a little bit more than it ended up doing. But yeah, it's interesting to see how Trump's kind of like fully embraced it and really rallying people around it. And I mean, I don't think Biden has a chance. I really don't.
Opti, what's your take, brother?
Okay, all right. I might get a little spicy here, so PSA, everyone. But of course, as a Mexican Californian or a Californian Mexican, I've basically been a Democrat by default my whole life. But the Republican Party is doing a very good job of persuading Bitcoiners. And I'm not completely sold on like a one policy issue voting per se, because we've seen, a couple times where politicians come out and say they're pro Bitcoin, and then you probably don't agree with everything else they're doing. So, I'm a little iffy on just like one policy voting in general. But I think what the Republican Party is doing is they're realizing, and I've said this for, I think, over a year now, that Bitcoiners as a voting base is one of the most powerful voting bases, period. So if the Dems want to continue to fight Bitcoin, then I think the choice is very easy for most Bitcoiners. It's, pro-Bitcoin on one side and anti-Bitcoin on the other side. And while this clip was playing, David Bailey said something that made me go over to Google and check something out. And he said, there's 70 million holders of Bitcoin. We could fact check these numbers, but just taking those numbers on the surface, I looked, and the last election in 2020, there were 74 million voters for both the left and right. So both for, Trump and Biden. And in 2008, Obama got 69.5 million votes. So this is obviously a very significant move coming from the Republican Party. So no wonder they're making it part of their official policy, or at least, this first round of their bill, and they're drafting some stuff. So this is why you're seeing the Republican Party realize, like, oh man, we can't ostracize Bitcoiners or, crypto holders, shitcoin holders, because they are a significant size of the voting block. So super, super smart move on that front. But when you got into, the little nitty gritty of that paragraph of what they're saying, I find it very interesting that finally we get to a point where one politician or one political party is not just wholesale throwing Bitcoin under the bus. We've been covering this for the last year and longer, that anytime there was some bad press, they would always say Bitcoin. And anytime they tried to be, good press in regards to the Bitcoin crypto space, they would use crypto. And here we have the Republican Party, which is probably kudos to the Bitcoin Mag team and everyone out there that has been talking, the Bitcoin miners that have been talking to the Republican Party and Trump in general. And they're finally saying Bitcoin in good light. So again, we all know Trump's super polarizing. So for better or worse, you can pick sides however you want. But I think this is good for Bitcoin in general, because now we've been saying this again for a while, that it's becoming a defining conversation, and you can't just, throw out Bitcoiners and think they're irrelevant. It's like, no, you have to persuade Bitcoiners to like what you're doing. As Max Kaiser always said, it's like he who has the Bitcoin makes the rules. So it's very obvious that they're coming for Bitcoiners and trying to persuade us to vote to their side, is because, hey, we have the best money in the world. So now everyone's catching up to this idea that, oh my God, we need to persuade Bitcoiners instead of pushing them away and making them leave. Because of course, David Bailey said it again, most people vote with their pocketbook, and Bitcoin is the best form of money because you can vote not only with your pocketbook, but with your feet. So if you're treated bad as a Bitcoiner, most Bitcoiners will up and leave. And now we're seeing, hey, they want to keep Bitcoiners here. They want to keep Bitcoin industry in America. And I'm all for it, because I know Nico's been joking for a while that, hey, man, if it gets even worse, we're going to have to leave and go to El Salvador. And I've been like, no, bro,
I don't think so. I don't think so anymore. I don't think so anymore. This is an election issue. Clearly, there's one side that is going to be pro Bitcoin, and clearly there's another side that is going to be anti Bitcoin. One of the things that I hear all the time is that Bitcoin is for everybody. Sure. But
Bitcoin is for anyone.
But Bitcoin is for anyone. Yeah, sure, but it does not, like, if you are pro coercion, if you are pro, any type of because like, if you think about it, like a lot of the basis is like, wealth redistribution, equality, all of those things. Like, I don't think Bitcoin is the right technology for you. Why? Because it doesn't allow for effective wealth redistribution mechanisms versus fiat debasement, like via inflation. So yeah, I like Bitcoin in theory is for everybody, but if you're a tyrant, if you want to try to coerce people, if you want to try to force other people into your ideology, into your thing, I don't think Bitcoin is for you. But Bitcoin is not a tool that is going to allow you to do that. Central banking is your tool. If you want to coerce people, if you want to control society, you need central banking, right? That's how you control the money flows. That's how you extract wealth from the populace via inflation. Like Bitcoin is not the tool if you want to control other people. Central banking is the tool if you want to control other people. So, it's clear that the political landscape is being defined. And, as a Bitcoiner in the United States, like you got to make a decision. And what I would tell everybody is, like, get your emotions out of it, because I don't think this is an emotional response. In my opinion, I think it's very simple. One side is pro Bitcoin. One side is anti Bitcoin. One side is pro freedom. The other side is anti freedom. Like, it's as simple as that. Look at it from that perspective. I don't really care about all the other, issues and whatever. I think that's all distraction, and it's a symptom of broken money in the first place. Anyways, I do want to give a very special shout out to one of our sponsors. Of course, I'm talking about the Pleb Party in Nashville. Guys, you definitely don't want to miss it. Scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you directly to the website. The Pleb Party is going to be a 12-hour open bar. That means that your drinks are included in the ticket. It's going to be from noon to midnight. It's going to be in Nashville, Thursday, July 25th, the day before the largest Bitcoin conference on planet Earth, Bitcoin 2024. Confirmed attendees include Larry Lepard, Preston Pish, the entire Simply Bitcoin crew, James Lavish, Robert Breedlove, Mark Moss, Pubby, Tatum Turnup, Adam O'Brien. It's going to be hosted in an amazing venue, a rustic automobile factory from 1910 with brick walls and tons of proof of work atmosphere. The last Pleb Party in Miami was sold out 8 days before. Over 1,000 Bitcoiners are expected to attend. You definitely don't want to miss it. Get your tickets now. Scan the QR code or check the link in the video description. All right, everybody, let's hit the news. Lots to talk about.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air-gapped security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more. All right, everybody, I made it incredibly easy for you guys. Scan the QR code on your screen, and you could use promo code SIMPLY, and that will give you a discount to the Passport by Foundation Devices. You want to get your, you want to put your Bitcoin in cold storage, not your keys, not your cheese. Anyways, so the German government continues to do stupid shit, and they continue to dump all their Bitcoin. So here's a quick update from the block, and it says German government continues Bitcoin selling spree. Less than half of its holdings remain. It goes on to say, after a plethora of Bitcoin transfers yesterday, the German government has sent an additional $339 million worth of Bitcoin to addresses labeled as belonging to centralized crypto exchanges and market makers so far on Tuesday. The German government sent 800 Bitcoins to the crypto exchange Kraken, 5,000 Bitcoins to an address believed to be the market maker B2C2 Group, and nearly 107 Bitcoins to market maker Cumberland. Anyways, it goes on to say, according to on-chain analytics platform Arkham, a further 400 Bitcoins were sent to an unlabeled address. It also appears to have received 1,692 Bitcoins back from the crypto exchange Bitstamp on Tuesday. The German government began moving Bitcoin to exchanges last month. Goes on to say, on Monday, the government labeled addresses transferred more than 15,000 Bitcoins to addresses labeled by Arkham as belonging to market makers and exchanges. However, 3,623 Bitcoins were subsequently transferred back to the German government from Bitstamp. The exchanges most likely sent the Bitcoins back to the German government after they could not sell them within a targeted price. Quote, considering some Bitcoin were sent back to the German government from Coinbase, one can assume they were unsold Bitcoin as part of a sale agreement between the crypto exchange and the country. So goes on to say, here's more information. Germany's FBI held 50,000 BTC up to late June. They have been selling relentlessly in small increments since June 19th. Today, they went in bigger, moved 16,000 BTC to brokers and exchanges. Their balance is now down to 23,788 BTC. Entering the final stretch of the German onslaught, they will eventually run out of coin. I think this is the key part here, everybody. This is what everyone has to remember. This is what happened with the fork wars and all these things, is that, you know, Jihan Wu, Roger Ver, they had so much Bitcoin in order to try to artificially move up the hash rate to convince everybody that Bitcoin Cash is now better than Bitcoin. Well, they can only fire that shot one time until they ran out of coin. That's what they did. They eventually ran out of Bitcoin. So what's going to happen with this German dump? They're going to run out of Bitcoin. And then when they run out of Bitcoin, they will no longer be able to cause this downward sell pressure, right? You can only fire this shot once. And it also puts the German government in a very disadvantageous position. Like, imagine selling all this Bitcoin for money that they can just literally create out of thin air. Why would they do that? It literally makes absolutely no sense. In their eyes, it makes sense because they believe in the church of fiat. But for all of us that know and appreciate Bitcoin's absolute scarcity, it makes absolutely no sense. And they're literally just having fun staying poor. Like, that's what they're doing. They're literally separating from money from state. We don't even have to do the work. They're doing it for us, right? Anyways, it goes on to say 16,038 Bitcoin moved price by 3.5%. The market could absorb the rest in one scoop, just as the market can absorb Mt. Gox flows. These will eventually run out. Let's run some numbers. The Gox had a total of 141,000 Bitcoin to be distributed, with 95,000 to be distributed within 90 days. Of those 95,000 Bitcoin, 20,000 going to credit funds, 10,000 going to NZ exchange, and 65,000 going to individual creditors. Let's make some assumptions. Assume 30% of the 85,000 gets sold. Assume Gox creditors sell 30% in one scoop. Assume the quantity and price relationship is linear. Assume Germany sells its entire remaining stack in one scoop. Then we would have 23.7 plus 25.5 divided by 16 multiplied by 0.035 equals 10.5%. That would trigger a 10.5% instant dump. The market can absorb that. And again, a 10% dump from where we are now, that's a discount for you guys. That's an opportunity for you guys, right? And again, these people, whether it's Mt. Gox or Germany, they could only do this once. So I would say flush it out. Flush out the FUD, just like the China mining fund. I remember that for so many years. People are like, the concentration of Bitcoin miners, it's all in China, that, you know, the world's going to end, Bitcoin's going to zero. And then guess what happened? The China mining ban happened. I think it cut the last cycle short. But guess what? The hash rate recovered, the price recovered, and we're at all-time highs, right? So Bitcoin will survive this as well. It creates an opportunity for you guys. Again, he's just theorizing here. It's not saying that all of that is going to happen. But, you know, I think he's like trying to make the case for, for a worst case scenario. Here's Carl. He's a well-known Bitcoiner in the community. And he says US Bitcoin ETFs are scooping up almost exactly the same amount of Bitcoin that is sold by Germany. We are witnessing a real-time intergenerational transfer of wealth between nations. What a time to be alive. That's right. You know, like they're selling this Bitcoin and other parties are seeing it as an opportunity. And then this leads me to my last bit before I pass it on to the panel. And I think this is where the signal is out of all of this. So while Germany is selling, while some individuals from Mt. Gox are selling, this is what I want you guys to focus on. More than half of the top 25 hedge funds in the United States are now exposed to Bitcoin. That is key. That is very, very important, right? More than half of the top 25 hedge funds are bullish on the future of Bitcoin. Of course, Ray Dalio's isn't quite there yet, but we have number one, which is Citadel. They're bullish on Bitcoin, and the list goes down from there. So I mean, like, don't pay attention to what they say, pay attention to what they do. You have multiple Fortune 500 companies, you know, including Tesla, that have exposure to Bitcoin. Of course, we all know BlackRock, you know, a record launch ETF. All of this is extremely bullish news. So while Germany has funds staying poor, seems like the ETF, all the ETF holding companies are taking advantage of that. And of course, individual hodlers and retail and buyers, like this is a great opportunity for you guys to stack the dip. Anyways, that's my take on all that. That's kind of like today's news. Bitcoin, Germany is literally metaphorically shooting itself in the foot. Germany have fun staying poor. They don't really have a history of great financial decisions. Shout out the Weimar Republic, hyperinflation and all the horrible things that happened the decade after. It seems like Germany hasn't learned their lessons. Most importantly, I think its politicians haven't learned their lessons. I think it's very easy to run other people's money. Like, as long as it's not your money on the line, I think it's very easy to make decisions on behalf of other people because you have nothing at stake, right? So anyways, that's my take. Opti, I feel like we've beat this topic, so like we've hit it so many times, Germany dumping their coins, Mt. Gox, but it seems like they're continuing to do so. And obviously, it's affecting the price somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, well, it seemed like Groundhog's Day. I'm not going to lie. Like every day, the new headline is like, oh, Germany's selling more Bitcoin. You wake up, you're like, didn't they just sell some yesterday? And it's like, no, yeah, they're selling more. They're selling thousands of more Bitcoin today. And it's just like BTC Believer said in the chat, like this is the real separation of money and state, is when, the thieves out there don't know what they're holding and they sell their Bitcoin and it gets distributed out to people that understand what's going on. So I think the real signal here is the German government sold 26,000 plus Bitcoin. Mt. Gox coins are moving and the Bitcoin price is holding pretty strong above 58K. Like this is good for Bitcoin. Not only like we're saying because, the German government is not holding on to those 50,000 Bitcoin. Again, literally the separation of money and state, but that the market is eating this up and price is holding relatively strong. And I know we're kind of in this crab consolidation area right now. Like everyone's getting bored. It's summertime. They're tuning out and the price is not doing it. It's literally the meme, like poking the Bitcoin, like please do something. But it's holding pretty strong. The market is eating this up. And, to everyone out there, you just get Bitcoin on discount. Hashtag Front Ran Wall Street. Like, yes, Wall Street is waking up. Yes, Germany's basically selling their coins to Larry Fink and go. But hey, if you understand what is going on right now, if you like Bitcoin at 70K, you got to love it at 58K. Hashtag 58K gang. Apparently the meme is strong still. And we get Bitcoin at a cheap price. So again, while Germany is let his hands here, all the strong-handed hodlers out there that know what they're holding, that understand what Bitcoin is, they get Bitcoin at a discount. And I think this is one of those healthy market moments where you clean out all the short sellers, you clean out everyone that doesn't know what they're holding, and you start to build a solid floor so that we can take another leg up. So again, I think this is further to the idea that we've been saying throughout this, probably the last couple of months, that like, who knows what the price is going to do. Summer might be slow, but as we consolidate and we find a good floor, it's going to give us a very strong foundation to move upwards towards the end of the year when everyone comes back and they're off on their trips and all that good stuff. When they stop drinking margaritas by the beach or by the poolside, they come back and they understand what's going on. It's like, yo, Bitcoin's going to rip. And if you're stacking right now, make sure you don't take your foot off the gas. Continue to stack. Take your Bitcoin into cold storage. Go outside, touch some grass, enjoy your life. This is good for Bitcoin. You just love to see it.
100%. Anyway, Sean, what's your take on this before we get onto the culture?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's pretty funny to see how, someone that was almost gifted that Bitcoin by confiscating it, that they're just like giving it away. Yeah, more for you and me. Just keep stacking.
Absolutely.
This way, more for us. Love to see it.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. So before we move on to the culture segment, I do want to give a very special shout out to, of course, our lead sponsor. Guys, we're going to be doing a giveaway. The Bitcoin Wishing Well, everybody. Let's play right now. Let's play the Bitcoin Wishing Well. By the way, every time you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, you earn Bitcoin Well points, and you can redeem those points. You could use those points towards the Bitcoin Wishing Well. So we're going to use 500 of those points. We're going to do it live right now. And I'm going to leave the QR code on screen. So the first person to scan the QR code gets 500 sats. Opti, should we do it again to make up for yesterday? Absolutely.
Yeah, do it again. Yeah.
One more time. Yeah, get your Lightning wallets ready. And boom, 500 sats. So guys, sign up to bitcoinwell.com today. Every time you buy Bitcoin, you earn points and you can redeem those points towards the Bitcoin Wishing Well for an opportunity to win up to 1 million Satoshis. Also, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor. Of course, I'm talking about the Orange Pill app. The Orange Pill app is where you stack friends who stack sats. Join the 11,178 Bitcoiners that are currently on the app. The Orange Pill app is the Bitcoin social layer. This is a great resource if you're traveling, if you're new to a new city, you don't know anyone around you, you download the Orange Pill app and it will connect you. It's also one of the best ways to DM me directly. Download the Orange Pill app today. Check the link in the video description or scan the QR code. All right, everybody, let's hit the culture. Here we go.
The Daily Culture.
Shout out to KABOOMRACKS. KABOOMRACKS is the most trusted place to buy, sell, and host mining equipment. To check out their racks what you got to do is you scan the QR code on the screen. It will take you directly to their Telegram marketplace where you can connect with a member of their sales team. They make purchasing their products easy and transparent. You can also sell your mining equipment with them, access their vast network of domestic and international customers. Also, check out their special deal right now. They're offering instant hosting for an S19K Pro 120 terahashes. You own the miner. This is not a hash rate contract. Your hash rate goes online after your payment is confirmed. Guys, check out KABOOMRACKS. This is where I personally buy my Bitcoin mining ASICs. To get started, scan the QR code or check the link in the video description. I'm going to hand it off to Opti for you guys to hit the culture. Here we go.
Let's go. All right, Sean. So this is going to be a great conversation, but let's start with how did you become a Bitcoiner? And then I really want to touch on some Bitcoin lore here, and then we're going to talk about electrolytes. So
Cool.
what was the original jump in? When did you hear about Bitcoin? When did you finally take the plunge?
Yeah, I think that first time I heard about Bitcoin was like 2011, 2010, 2011. And it was like a friend of mine, computer science guys at Notre Dame that were, I don't know if they were buying stuff on Silk Road or what, but they just like were doing some different gambling stuff, getting into Bitcoin and getting hacked. And then actually Marty and I went to college together, played lacrosse together. We were talking about Bitcoin back, in like 2011, 12, and started like stacking a little bit back then. And then I went to this coding boot camp, actually the same one that Wennicus went to.
Wine.
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 We went to the same coding boot camp. I think he was like a cohort in front of me called WinCode. And this was in 2017. And that's when I kind of really got way more into it. And I built an app that auto invested spare change to, dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin using the Coinbase API. And I like won the competition and was trying to like sell the app. And then, there was like 100 other versions of that app that came out. So nothing really came of it, but it got me really into like working in cloud engineering and just kind of working with APIs in general. And so I was doing that for a little while. And then in like 2021, I had heard about all this stuff that was going on in El Salvador. I really wanted to just like go see it myself. And so I booked a flight. I went down. I started buying pupusas, street food with Bitcoin. I thought it was super cool. I, went to Bitcoin Beach, surfed, and I went to go get a T-shirt Bitcoin Beach T-shirt. While I was there, one of the guys said, "Hey, you're from Miami. Can you give Mayor Suarez a shirt?" And I said, I don't know him, but like I can try. And I DM him right when I land, and he's like, "Come on to City Hall and you can give me the shirt." And so I like went to City Hall, gave him this shirt. I have this cool picture with him. It was like the day that like those two buildings had collapsed in Miami. So he was like wearing fire department like emergency gear, but he was still down to take a pic for and really embrace the Bitcoin community, which, there it is right there. Yeah. So that was cool. And so then while I was, then my friend, Matthias, who's the president of Athena Bitcoin, which is Bitcoin ATMs. They're really popular I think they're based in Chicago, but they're really popular in Central and South America. And he saw that photo and he said, "Hey, we're helping with the Chivo wallet situation. And this is like August, beginning of August, and September 7th is when the law goes into effect where Bitcoin needs to be accepted as legal tender by every business in the country. So Walmart, McDonald's, they all have to be able to accept Bitcoin, and they're not ready. And I was kind of like not really working. I was kind of doing some like AWS consulting stuff, and he said, "Can you fly to El Salvador tomorrow and come help?" And I was like, I'll be on the next flight. I'm there." And so I show up into this like Airbnb style war room in San Salvador, where there's like a bunch of like hackers and coders and like a bunch of these devices that you can like, they look like this thing right here, where it's like it like scans your Bitcoin, and they're going to install these things or hand them out to all these different businesses throughout El Salvador. It's kind of crazy. Like, there's, it just feels like the Wild West, and I really didn't know what I was doing there. And after a few days, I was there for like a few days, and then we went to the actual war room in like the president's like, Bukele's brother was like kind of in charge of like a lot of the stuff. So we had to like go and like present like, okay, this is what we're doing with the Shiba wallet and all this stuff. And I had to like introduce myself. I was like, yeah, I'm going to help with like the AWS engineering or like whatever. And so there's kind of a cool story about while I was there. I didn't know how I was going to get paid. I was like, what am I doing here? Am I going to make money out doing this? Like, I got to make a living. Like, what? And they're like, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And I was like, okay, whatever. This is cool. Anyways, I'm just like excited to be here. And I'm like looking through the, Athena's financials and stuff. And like, I'm like thinking to myself, how could I, could they offer me like stock options or whatever? And then I saw that they were publicly traded, and I just thought, I'm going to just buy some of this stock, like, or I'm going to buy some options and just, see what happens. And right after I bought it, Matthias, he was like, I don't know if that's a great idea. And he kind of talked me out of it. He kind of was like, the price at the time was like $1 a share. And I was like, I bought like $1,000 worth. And I was like, he got me nervous. I got out of it. Like 12 hours later, someone tweeted out that like Athena had the exclusive contract with El Salvador, and that it was like a $20 million like contract or something, and the price of Athena stock just shot up to like $40. And I was like, fuck, dude, like that was it. That was my payday for being here. Like, I had the move all set up, and then it like came it pretty much crashed right back down to like $4 or something. But yeah, it was like very crazy, like being there, like being in like, there was like Secret Service and stuff, and we were like going out to dinner and just getting ready to like really embrace Bitcoin throughout the entire country. It was really an awesome experience.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible, bro. Like, that's why I'm like, we need to get this Bitcoin lore out here for the audience so they know who we're talking to. And really, it's a good segue into how he even got on the show. I was saying earlier, like, you just have an uncanny ability of being at the right place at the right time. You met Wine on the beach and what'd you say, like Muscle Beach? And he's like, yo, come on the show. And we're like, all right, bet. So just absolutely incredible. That's such a good story. And everyone in the chat, like Visnox, like this guy goes straight to my spreadsheet of cool Bitcoin plebs. So you got some good lore of like literally being at what might be one of the most important moments in Bitcoin history up to date. So absolutely incredible. But he's not just a cool Bitcoiner. Again, it's what we do on the culture, bring on cool Bitcoiners, but also talk about cool stuff and cool products that they're building. So you're not just in the right place at the right time. You created an electrolyte company. So let's talk about Salt of the Earth. I'll pull up your website, you just plug it right there. So I guess my first question is, look, full disclosure here. I'm kind of like a Celtic salt kind of guy.
Yeah.
So why does the audience, why do they need to get electrolytes and salts in them? Why is simply drinking water not enough? And, why are you selling electrolytes? Like, what's the importance of this and how is this going to benefit the audience?
Yeah. So I want to start by saying I'm 100% Irish. I'm an Irish citizen. I have an Irish passport. And when I first came up with this formula, I wanted to use Celtic salt. I was like, all right, yeah, represent the motherland. And then when I was doing the research between like pink Himalayan salt and Celtic salt, I just found that there was like a lot more benefits to the pink Himalayan. There was just more trace minerals, and there was like, plastic contaminants and the Celtic salt, or like, I don't know. I just came to the conclusion that the pink was better. So I'll start by saying that. The background of like why I think hydration is important and electrolytes are important. So like I used to be a lab rat at the Gatorade Sports Science Institute for like 10 years. And I've always been really interested in like the sports science and just like testing new products. And I was getting my like sweat analyzed, and I was like testing different things with like some like pro athletes, and was just like really interested in this type of thing. And while I was on this surf sabbatical last year, I just knew that the hydration, I was having a really hard time with staying hydrated because of the amount of sweating I was doing in like Bali. I was surfing for like 3-4 hours in the morning. I'd go to this like workout class, and then I would go to this sauna, and I'd probably sweat 4 or 5 liters. And once I started to just add some pink Himalayan salt to my water and like lemon, and I was like kind of doing all that stuff, it changed my whole life. I was like, wow, I really feel like I'm actually, Gatorade used to always say, you're putting back in what you're sweating out. But once PepsiCo bought Gatorade, they're incentivized now to add all these different things in there to like really hook you to, it's a lot of sugar. And they do have different products with zero sugar. They do have electrolytes, but I just felt like Element was kind of the best electrolyte product on the market. So I wanted to kind of gear a product that was what I thought was the best. And so, but I wanted to improve upon it. So things that Element didn't have, pink Himalayan salt. They used more of just like a sodium chloride, regular table salt. And then I wanted to have like a little bit of calcium in there because I had been reading about how important the electrolyte calcium is to prevent like calcium from being like pulled out of like your bones as it's like coming out of your body. And so I wanted to add that. I also wanted to put together like a really as like magnesium is becoming like super popular, and I was learning about how like magnesium glycinate and magnesium L-threonate, how they're, in my opinion, like they have different functions. So the magnesium glycinate is really to help absorb into your body. It's like the most bioavailable form of magnesium, and it helps with recovery and muscle function and everything like that. And then the magnesium L-threonate is good for like brain health and mood, and helps with like just to prevent like Alzheimer's and things like that. So I really wanted to put all that together and then also make it taste really good. And so while I was also coming up with the formula, I wanted it to be sugar free, and Liquid IV had just said, hey, we're finally announcing after 2 years that we have come out with a sugar free formula, because traditionally their formula is 11 grams of sugar in their 14-gram stick. And people had been saying, hey, we want a sugar free. How are you going to make it? And they said, after 2 years of research, we came to the conclusion that allulose is the best natural sweetener. And so I was like, okay, I was like in the lab when this like news came out, and I was like, shit, like, but I was like, okay, well, if they just spent like a couple $1 billion probably doing this research in 2 years, I'm going to just take allulose too. And so, thanks for that. And so, I feel like I took the best of Element and the best of Liquid IVs, sugar-free, to kind of put together the formula. And I drink like 4 of these a day. I feel like it's changed my life for the better. I feel like it gives me a clear, clean energy boost. Like I drink one like right when I wake up, and then another one like after I work out, and then I have another one at like 2ish when I'm kind of in that like afternoon like sleepy slump, and then I'll have another one at like 6 usually. But I'm also like, I live in Miami Beach. I'm outside almost every day. I'm sweating, I'm working out. So I think it kind of just depends on how much activity you're doing, how much you're sweating. But I think it's really an amazing thing to feel. Like you'll feel the difference, because I think a lot of people don't mistake being thirsty for hungry. Like they think they're hungry, but they're actually just thirsty, or they think they're tired, but they're actually like just dehydrated. And also when you're traveling a lot, like I was doing last year, it's being in an airplane is like one of the most dehydrating places you can be, because the air that's getting pumped into the plane is like super dry. It's like drier than a desert. And so when you're sitting in a plane for like 4 hours or however long, and you're not drinking with electrolytes, you're just like getting super dehydrated. So I felt like this was just kind of like felt like the right thing for me to put all my time into, because I was like traveling a lot and I was trying to stay healthy and have energy. Like I was in Bali for kind of like 6 weeks, and I was like, I need to make sure that I can have a kick-ass day every single day. I want to surf at Uluwatu every single day, and I don't want to be like tired. And this was kind of the start of the formula, like just doing the salts and everything in the water was kind of it, how it all started.
Incredible, bro. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Actually, a few things before I guess we put the cherry on top on today's show. Quick question. Is this why I always feel so bad when I get off a plane? Is it just because I'm freaking dehydrated the whole time?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I drink 2 of these in like a liter on a plane.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And actually, there's one thing that you mentioned on TFTC with Marty Bent the other day, and I don't remember the statistics, and maybe you have them off the top of your head, but you said something incredible about just like the amount of chronically dehydrated people on planet Earth. Like that stat really blew my mind.
I mean, it's debatable, but like the number I hear a lot is 75% of people are like chronically dehydrated. I've heard some people say 100% of people are chronically dehydrated, but I think
Incredible.
75 is probably fair.
Incredible. Okay. One last thing before we put the cherry on top for today's show is, kudos to you, not only as a Bitcoiner, but is kind of a trend or a theme that a lot of us Bitcoiners talk about, is this idea that once you build on a Bitcoin standard, once you're a Bitcoiner, you start to think of building better products and providing to the market the best product possible. And kudos to you. Yes, you're using other people's research, but you're like, how can I improve on this product so that I know my audience, my customers out there are getting the best product possible? And while you're talking, I'm like, that's exactly what you're doing here. So kudos to you, Sean. All right, let me for the audience out there, considering they're all savage Bitcoiners, here's the last little cherry on top here for you guys. So if you're in the checkout, guys, he's not just a Bitcoiner. You can actually purchase your electrolytes with Bitcoin using Lightning. So, man,
also,
incredible.
I want to mention that that's only if you do a one-time purchase. So, like, if you sign up for a subscription, the Bitcoin Lightning won't show. So, but yeah, because it's like the reoccurring.
Incredible.
But also, guys, I want to shout out Gene Everett 33 on Twitter. This guy, he's taking full advantage of like these Bitcoin rewards that I offer to people. So Bitcoin fixes dehydration. I love that. So Gene, so when you buy Bitcoin, or if you buy, you don't have to buy with Bitcoin, but every customer, if you click the subscribe to like news and offers, if you check the box that says yes, then after your purchase, you get an email that says from Oshi that says you've just earned some sats, and if you refer somebody, and then you get a link to refer somebody, and if they purchase, and you both get 10% of whatever the purchase is, and then you get 10% of that person that you referred for life. For now, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm just doing it. But so this guy Gene, he's been pumping it out, and he's got a great, he's been making sats from drinking salt of the earth and sharing his link. I'll also be at the Bitcoin conference, and I'll be passing out electrolytes. There's a Bitcoin runners group Nashville that's going to be doing like a run before, I think the conference starts on like Friday or something. So you guys should all come out to that. I'll be passing out electrolytes if you're going to be in Nashville for the conference.
Let's go, bro. All right. So for the audio listeners out there, it's Drink Sote, drinksote.com, salt of the earth. I'm going to say it. Maybe the best electrolytes on the market. So made by a Bitcoiner.
I just created a code for today that's going to last for like 24 hours. That's BTC in the checkout. If you do code BTC, it's 15% off.
Let's go. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. All right, Sean. Well, that was great. But before you go, I want to give you an opportunity to say the last two sats. What's the last message you want to leave with the audience? It could be about electrolytes. It could be about life. It could be about entrepreneurship or Bitcoin, whatever you want. What's the final message you want to leave with the audience? Platform's yours.
I'll say stay humble and stay hydrated.
Bars. Let's go. All right, Sean. Well, on that note, for the audio listeners, let's plug. What do you want to plug? Your Twitter, the website. Let's do one last plug, and then we'll roll out today's show.
Yeah, just drink SOTE is .com. That's the place to find me.
Love it, bro. Well, Sean, really appreciate you coming on. As everyone in the audience knows, not only are we Bitcoiners, but we support Bitcoiners, and this is why we bring Sean on the show. So I think I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to use that discount and get myself some electrolytes, bro. So Sean, really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to pull you behind the scenes, hang out for a moment as I wrap up today's show.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Let's go. All right, guys. Nico had to run, so I'm wrapping up today's show. Today is July 9th, episode 1027. We appreciate all you guys. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure you're pushing all Bitcoin content, not just Simply Bitcoin, but of course, push Simply Bitcoin because it helps us in the algos. Hashtag for the algos. But we love you guys. Make sure you get outside, touch some grass, make sure your mind's right, make sure your body's right. This is why Simply Bitcoin's low-key becoming a lifestyle brand. And we bring Sean on today, and we talk about electrolytes and why your water's probably not good enough. So make sure you are ushering in these sats at the best health capacity you can. On that note, guys, we'll be back tomorrow, same time as always, Monday through Friday, 12:15 p.m. Eastern time. We love you guys. Let me know in the chat before we roll off if you guys got the sats. On that note, I'm out.
It was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, on a mission to enable independence.